The Senate will come to order. Will the members and our guests please be seated? Article 4, Section 6 of the Constitution of the State of Illinois reads in part as follows. On the first day of the January session of the General Assembly in odd-numbered years, the governor shall convene the Senate to elect from the membership a president of the Senate as presiding officer. Credentialed representatives of the media have requested permission to record the proceedings. Hearing no objection, leave is granted. The following are appointed to the Committee of Escort from the members of the Judiciary: Senators Peters, Gillespie, Halpin, Sally Turner, Ann McClure. Will the Committee of Escort please report to the entrance of the chamber to escort the distinguished members of the Judiciary into the chamber. Will the members and our guests please rise? The invocation will be offered by Father Carl Morello from the St. Giles Parish. Father Morello.
First, I'd like to extend my gratitude to Senator Harmon for his invitation today to offer the invocation. It's good that we could be here in person in this very historic Capitol where Abraham Lincoln delivered his famous speech, "A house divided cannot stand." As we recall the many issues still that threaten our unity today, I invite you to join me in prayer. O God, our Father and Mother, in humility we recognize we are created in your very image. As this body of leadership gathers and is sworn in for service, help us all remember that each individual we consider is created by you. Therefore, we ask for the wisdom and grace to see our neighbors as gifts, not as threats. For every one of us are thumbnails of the divine, worthy of consideration, care, and respect. Source of life, all-knowing Creator, you must sense what we are feeling in our communities today. There is an increase of anxiety about violence, drugs, the disrespect for your gift of life at so many different levels, and the fate of our children. Give guidance to all those given the responsibility of leadership and decision-making. Increase in their hearts the desire to work together to make things happen for the good of all, especially those most in need of protection, care, and service. To those of this assembly, may the many challenges you face purify and not paralyze. Create bonds and not separate, and may clarity be your ally and wisdom your support. In your meetings and conversations, may you speak your truth honestly and with respect before the differing opinions of others. And so we pray, may the gifts of clarity and voice, the gifts of goodness and charity, the gifts of true nobility and integrity be a blessing to all this day and the future that lies before us. And to this may the assembly respond, amen.
Amen.
Senator Johnson will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Senator Johnson.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for our national anthem, which will be sung by Tiffany Mathis.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through their perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated.
That was good.
I hereby appoint the following persons as temporary Senate officers of the 103rd General Assembly: Tim Anderson, Secretary of the Senate; Joe Dominguez, Sergeant at Arms. The Secretary will now read the letter of certification from the State Board of Elections of Senate members elected on November 8th, 2022, to the 103rd General Assembly. Mr. Secretary, please read the letter.
Letter dated December 5th, 2022. Dear Secretary Anderson, enclosed is a list of individuals who have been elected to serve as members of the State Senate and the General Assembly and have been duly certified by the State Board of Elections at their board meeting on December 5th, 2022. Additionally, I have enclosed a copy of the proclamation of election winners that included the Illinois State Senate, which was filed with the Secretary of State Index Division. If you have any questions or need additional information, please feel free to contact me, Brent Davis, Director of Election Operations. Newly elected Illinois State Senators. 1st District, Javier Laura Cervantes, Chicago, 2-year term. 2nd District, Omar Aquino, Chicago, 4-year term. 3rd District, Maddie Hunter, Chicago, 4-year term. 4th District, Kimberly A. Lightford, Westchester, 2-year term. 5th District, Patricia Van Pelt, Chicago, 4-year term. 6th District, Sarah Feigenholtz, Chicago, 4-year term. 7th District, Mike Simmons, Chicago, 2-year term. 8th District, Ram Villavom, Chicago, 4-year term. 9th District, Laura Fine, Glenview, 4-year term. 10th District, Robert Martwick, Chicago, 2-year term. 11th District, Mike Porfirio, LaGrange, 4-year term. 12th District, Selena Villanueva, Chicago, 4-year term. 13th District, Robert Peters, Chicago, 4-year term, 2-year term. 14th District, Emil Jones III, Chicago, 4-year term. 15th District, Napoleon B. Harris III, Harvey, 4-year term. 16th District, Willie Preston, Chicago, 2-year term. 17th District, LGR Sims Jr., Chicago, 4-year term. 18th District, Bill Cunningham, Chicago, 4-year term. 19th District, Michael E. Hastings, Frankfurt, 2-year term. 20th District, Christina Passioni-Zayas, Chicago, 4-year term. 21st District, Laura Ellman, Naperville, 4-year term. 22nd District, Christina Castro, Elgin, 2-year term. 23rd District, Suzanne Susie Glowiak Hilton, Western Springs, 4-year term. 24th District, Seth Lewis, Bartlett, 4-year term. 25th District, Karina Villa, West Chicago, 2-year term. 26th District, Dan McConkey, Hawthorne Woods, 4-year term. 27th District, Ann Gillespie, Arlington Heights, 4-year term. 28th District, Laura M. Murphy, Des Plaines, 2-year term. 29th District, Julie A. Morrison, Lake Forest, 4-year term. 30th District, Adrian Johnson, Buffalo Grove, 4-year term. 31st District, Mary Edley Allen, Libertyville, 2-year term. 32nd District, Craig Wilcox, McHenry, 4-year term. 33rd District, Donald P. DeWitt, St. Charles, 4-year term. 34th District, Steve Stadelman, Caledonia, 2-year term. 35th District, Dave Severson, Cherry Valley, 4-year term. 36th District, Michael W. Halpin, Rock Island, 4-year term. 37th District, Wynn Stoller, East Peoria, 2-year term. 38th District, Sue Resin, Morris, 4-year term. 39th District, Don Harmon, Oak Park, 4-year term. 40th District, Patrick J. Joyce, Reddick, 2-year term. 41st District, John Curran, Downers Grove, 4-year term. 42nd District, Linda Holmes, Aurora, 4-year term. 43rd District, Rachel Ventura, Joliet, 2-year term. 44th District, Sally J. Turner, Beeson, 4-year term. 45th District, Andrew S. Chesney, Freeport, 4-year term. 46th District, Dave Kaler, Peoria, 2-year term. 47th District, Neil Anderson, Andalusia, 4-year term. 48th District, Doris Turner, Springfield, 4-year term. 49th District, Meg Loughran Capel, Shorewood, 2-year term. 50th District, Jill Tracy, Quincy, 4-year term. 51st District, Chapin Rose, Mahomet, 4-year term. 52nd District, Scott M. Bennett, Champaign, 2-year term. 53rd District, Jason Barrickman, Bloomington, 4-year term. 54th District, Steve McClure, Springfield, 4-year term. 55th District, Jason Plummer, Edwardsville, 2-year term. 56th District, Erica Conway Harris, Glenn Carbon, 4-year term. 57th District, Christopher Belt, Swansea, 4-year term. 58th District, Terry Bryant, Murfreesboro, 2-year term. 59th District, Dale Fowler, Harrisburg, 4-year term.
Mr. Secretary, communications from the Secretary of State.
I have a letter dated January 9th, 2023. Dear Mr. Anderson, this office is forwarding herewith a copy of the certificate of appointment to fill vacancy in the office of Senator in the General Assembly from the Democratic Legislative Committee of the 52nd Legislative District, declaring the existence of a vacancy in the office of State Senator in the 52nd Legislative District as a result of the untimely passing of Senator Scott M. Bennett. The Democratic Legislative Committee's certificate of appointment to fill vacancy in the office of Senator in the General Assembly of the 52nd Legislative District appoints Paul Faraci to fill the vacancy in the office of Senator in the General Assembly for the 52nd Legislative District of the State of Illinois, effective January 11th, 2023, for the 103rd General Assembly. Yours truly, Jesse White, Secretary of State. I have another letter dated January 10th, 2023. Dear Mr. Anderson, this office is forwarding herewith a copy of a certificate of appointment to fill vacancy in the Legislative District office from the Republican Legislative Committee of the 53rd Legislative District, declaring the existence of a vacancy in the office of State Senator for the 53rd Legislative District by reason of the resignation to be effective upon the conclusion of the 102nd General Assembly and declination of office of the 103rd General Assembly of Senator Jason Barrickman. Also enclosed a certificate of appointment to fill vacancy in Legislative District office for Tom Bennett, who was appointed to fill the vacancy in the office of State Senator in the 53rd Legislative District, effective January 11th, 2023, for the 103rd General Assembly. Yours truly, David Finnegan, Director, Department of Index.
Will Justice Joyce Joy V. Cunningham of the Illinois Supreme Court, please come to the rostrum to administer the oath of office to the members of the Senate.
Good morning. Will Senators Cervantes, Johnson, Pacchione Zayas, Simmons, Doris Turner, and Sally Turner, as well as Senators-elect Chesney, Edley Allen, Halpin, Harris, Lewis, Porfirio, Preston, Ventura, and duly appointed Senators Ferrazzi and Thomas Bennett, please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me and insert your name at the proper place. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of State Senator to the best of my ability. Congratulations, Senators. Okay, for round two, will Senators Bryant, Feigenholz, Joyce, Logren-Capel, Martwick, Stoller, Villa, and Villanueva please stand and raise your right hand? Repeat after me and insert your name where appropriate. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of State Senator to the best of my ability. Congratulations, Senators. Okay, round three. Will the remaining senators who were re-elected in 2022 please stand? Please raise your right hands. And, as before, insert your names in the proper place. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of State Senator to the best of my ability. Congratulations, Senators.
give him another minute? Yeah. Naturally, it's a somewhat unruly crowd of senators. Please be seated. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll of the senators of the 103rd General Assembly.
Anderson, Aquino, Belt, Tom Bennett, Bryant, Castro, Cervantes, Chesney, Cunningham, Curran, DeWitt, Edley Allen, Elman, Faraci, Feigenholtz, Fine, Fowler, Gillespie, Loyak Hilton, Halpin, Harmon, Harris, E. Harris, Hastings, Holmes, Hunter, Johnson, Jones, Joyce, Kaler, Lewis, Lightford, Loughran Capel, Martwick, McClure, McConkey, Morrison, Murphy, Passione Zayas, Peters, Plummer, Porfirio, Preston, Resin, Rose, Simmons, Sims, Stottleman, Stoller, Severson, Tracy, Doris Turner, Sally Turner, Van Pelt, Ventura, Villa, Villanueva, Villivalum, Wilcox.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. A quorum is present. It is the intention of the chair to begin organizing the 103rd General Assembly under the rules of the 102nd General Assembly until new rules are adopted as part of the organization of the newly constituted General Assembly. The next order of business is the election of the President of the Senate of the 103rd General Assembly. As required by Senate Rules 12-4 and 2-2B of the 102nd General Assembly, 30 affirmative votes will be required to elect the President of the Senate. Nominations are now open. Senator Kimberly A. Lightford is recognized for the purpose of placing a name in nomination. Senator Lightford.
Thank you, Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, I rise to nominate Don Harmon for Senate President. When Don stepped up to become Senate President in January of 2020, I don't think that anyone could have predicted what the following 6 months, let alone 2 years, would bring. Within months, COVID took over the state. It took over the country. People lost their lives. People lost their jobs. The global pandemic tested us in an unthinkable way. Yet he led this caucus through the horrible pandemic. Don has always been known as calm and understanding and insightful. When we couldn't meet in person to keep matters moving forward, he gathered us together via Zoom meetings. He helped us focus on how we could help our constituents through the tough times. His priority was and always is the caucus and the people of Illinois. The murder of George Floyd brought to the forefront the systemic racial injustice felt by people of color everywhere and had gone ignored for far too long. Don stood in support of the Black Caucus every step of the way. He was with us, standing in support when we rallied and marched He was with us when we sponsored bills and voted to confront and change that systemic system. As the political world has become increasingly divided, Don constantly strives to bring people together. He is intellectual, kind, and compassionate. You could pay me later. He holds an unusual quality from many leaders today. He can be quiet, yet quiet in a way that shows strength. The last few years could have been made us disjointed. It could have made us more divided. It could have made us unable to function. That did not happen, and that's because of Don's leadership. Instead, we are innovative, we are closer, and we are resilient. Don's ability to respect his opponent's positions and genuinely listen and consider others' viewpoints is what makes him so unique as a legislative leader. It's one thing to step into a new role at midterm. It's another to step into a new role midterm and be faced with so many hardships and challenges. But through it all, he led with poise. He was always accessible and led our caucus and the Senate as a whole to help millions of Illinoisans during a time they were leaning on us. He stepped up and showed us that no matter your zip code, no matter the color of your skin, and no matter your political party, we are all working towards one common goal: making Illinois the best, safest, and most inclusive state we can. I've known Don Harmon for a long time. I respect him as a neighbor, as a father, as a legislator, and as a politician. But most of all, I respect him as a person. At times we've been rivals, did you know? But through it all, we've always been friends. My friend, it is my honor to nominate you for Senate President.
Senator Lightford nominates Senator Don Harmon for President of the Senate. Senator Selena Villanueva is recognized for the purpose of seconding the nomination. Senator Villanueva.
Thank you, Governor. I rise to second the nomination of Don Harmon for Senate President. There are so many things to say about Senator Harmon, about Don, but I wanted to share a few moments over the years that have stood out for me in terms of his leadership, his compassion, and his humanity. I knew Don before I was a legislator because as a former immigrant rights organizer, he was our champion, constantly providing support and leading the way to pass bills that would protect our communities in the face of so much turmoil. I respected him then and held him in such high regard. And now as a legislator who gets to work with him and under his leadership, I can see his humanity and his compassion for issues that impact all residents of Illinois even more. As a senator, I've been able to witness his dedication and commitment in his position as Senate President, where he leads with a quiet strength, compassion, and humanity. I see him grapple with trying to create stability in a world that has been made unstable for so many years, and trying to make a better world for all of us. In the face of a pandemic, Don did everything that he could to protect us as a chamber and as a state, taking the time to tackle tough subjects together as a caucus, and holding us together even when it seemed like we might just break apart. Don was there for me when my mother passed away. Just the simple act of showing up. And I'm emotional because Don just recently lost his mother, a bond that we unfortunately share together. Don's mother and my mother were heroes to both of us that have shaped who we are as people and how we served our districts and the state of Illinois. It is my honor to nominate him as Senate President and to continue to lead us together to the future. Thank you.
Senator Villanueva seconds the nomination of Senator Don Harmon for President of the Senate. Senator Doris Turner is recognized for the purpose of seconding the nomination. Senator Doris Turner.
Thank you, Governor Pritzker. I rise today to second the nomination of Don Harmon for Senate President. While I am relatively new to the Illinois State Senate, arriving here on February the 6th, 2021, President Harmon has had a tremendous impact on me personally, and I have witnessed the impact he has had on this body and the entire state of Illinois. Every district in Illinois is better due to Don Harmon's leadership. Leadership is a quality that is reserved for a few. You can be a competent person, a good person, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're meant to lead. A good leader should have integrity, self-awareness, courage, respect, empathy, commitment, and gratitude. It's about taking risk and challenging the status quo to achieve something new and better. I believe that Don Harmon embodies all of these qualities, and I have seen them on display in this chamber and in the outside community. Illinois is a very large and diverse state, and the needs, concerns, and asks of each member of this body are equally large and diverse. However, our leader navigates all of those needs, concerns, and asks in a manner that does not pick winners and losers, but ensures that everyone has what they need to adequately address the needs of their various constituencies. That's leadership. During the last couple of months, my colleagues and I have had some very trying times. And never once did Don waver in his support of any of us. He made himself available any time of the day or night to be a sounding board, an ear for venting, or just a friendly voice on the other end of the phone. I can tell you that I took advantage of that opportunity many, many times. And he was always there whenever I called to provide assurance and offer his sage advice, and oftentimes just to say, hang in there, it's all going to be okay. During those weeks and months, he demonstrated his acumen as a brilliant tactician, strategist, negotiator, and one who understands that a leader assembles the best and brightest, listens, takes all things into consideration, and then acts with precision to ensure the expected outcome. That's leadership. Don Harmon is not a loud and boisterous person, and neither is his leadership style. He speaks in quiet tones, but his words have booming power as they impact the lives of those who serve in this chamber and the lives of all Illinois residents. Do not misunderstand. It's certainly not all sunshine and lollipops around here. However, even in those times when there are disagreements, they do not evolve into being disagreeable, and they certainly do not linger, and there is always middle ground to be found. Again, that's what I would call leadership. As we begin this new 103rd General Assembly, there is not one more suited to lead this body than Don Harmon. My leader, it is an honor to nominate you for Senate President.
Senator Doris Turner seconds the nomination of Senator Don Harmon for the President of the Senate. Senator Plummer is recognized for the purpose of placing a name into nomination. Senator Plummer.
I rise to nominate Senator John Curran for Senate President. A lot of people in this chamber get fellow University of Illinois graduate John Curran and I confused for each other. It might be our height, it might be our dashing good looks, it could be our vote. Well, maybe 2 out of 3. When I was first elected to the Senate, I was the last person in our caucus to choose my seat on the floor, and I picked a seat between John Kern and Brian Stewart. That was one of the best decisions that I could have made. I've been blessed to be able to spend considerable time, even sometimes at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, on the floor of the Senate by two people I came to learn were servant leaders. Two extremely sensible, serious, humble people who cared about the future of this state and the people that live here. While we may not exactly see eye to eye all the time, I am taller, and our voting records may not always match up, John and I do firmly agree on one thing. The people of Illinois deserve a better state government. They deserve safety, they deserve opportunity, they deserve competence, and they deserve compassion. John and I share the goal of advancing public policies that will attract job creators and cultivate a climate of entrepreneurship, growth, and especially for small and medium-sized businesses, opportunity. We share the belief that Illinoisans should be able to live and work safely in a state that prioritizes our law enforcement community and crime victims over criminals. We share the drive to increase access to and accountability from an education system that includes parents and provides children the knowledge and skills necessary to be productive members of a vibrant society. We are both here to create opportunities for Illinois families, not opportunities for special interests and self-promoting politicians. We desire a government that elicits pride and confidence from the people of this state rather than groans and punchlines. We need a policy direction that drives innovation, that drives growth, safety, and opportunity for the people that live in the land of Lincoln. After 2 decades of headlines offering news of people and businesses fleeing to better managed states, politicians going to prison, and a state economy lagging those of our neighbors, we must change our priorities and we must change the policy direction of this great state. I know John Kern can help guide this better policy direction. He's proven himself to be a leader of substance, a man whose word you can trust. And there is no better currency at the Capitol or in life than a man's word. John works hard across the aisle in the state capitol. He also has been a hard worker and an effective leader for his local constituents. In fact, my wife grew up in John's district. Her parents still live there. I know every day that my family is being well served by an elected official in Springfield who does not seek headlines, does not seek attention, avoids drama, and takes his duty seriously. John works hard, and his constituents are better off because of it. I know the people of Illinois will be better off with John in a greater position of leadership. I've learned a lot from John Curran and other colleagues on both sides of the aisle. And I like to think that John has learned a few things from me. For instance, on our switches, I showed John there actually is a red button. In all seriousness, and recognizing the power of the history being in this building today, I will quote our great Republican president, Abraham Lincoln. When the conduct of men is designed to be influenced, persuasion, kind, unassuming persuasion, should be adopted. Senator John Kern is just the kind, persuasive man to help us carry the message of change to the people of Illinois and provide them a state that once again is inviting, offering safety, opportunity, and a sense of pride. I look around this beautiful chamber today. I see my parents, I see my wife, I see my children, and I see your families. And so I pray that each and every one of us takes to heart one thing Abraham Lincoln also said, and that is, it is not merely for today, but for all time to come, that we should perpetuate for our children's children this great and free government which we have enjoyed all our lives. I know John Kern and I trust John Kern. I believe in his leadership, and I believe in our united endeavor to improve our state and expand freedom and opportunity for all. I'm honored to stand today and nominate my friend, John Grove, State Senator John Kern for Senate President. Thank you. May God bless the people of Illinois.
Senator Plummer nominates Senator John Curran for President of the Senate. Senator Anderson is recognized for the purpose of seconding the nomination. Senator Anderson.
Thank you, Governor. I rise to nominate my colleague and great friend, John Curran, for Senate President. Senator Curran and I come from very different places, but many of the same shared ideals and values. We have some of the same experiences, although some different. For example, I'm from small-town, countryside, Illinois. John is from the city. But we both share the idea of service and God, family, and country. Another example, John and I both played college football. But at the time I was playing at the University of Nebraska, we were always excited about winning conference titles and playing for national championships, whereas when John played for the University of Illinois, they were just excited about playing. By the way, Senator Curran, I know you don't know what they look like, but if you ever want to see what a conference title and a national championship trophy looks like, we got a few. I'll show you. All joking aside, honestly, all joking aside, I admire Senator Curran and his thoughtfulness and integrity that he brings in everything he does. John is rooted in values, just like our Republican Party that was created to fight for freedom. Those values of honesty, hard work, respect, and equality guide his approach to governing. He also values relationships, both with supporters and detractors. He really tries to understand the other side and get multiple perspectives on the issues. John knows that results come from collaboration. He is deeply dedicated to his family, and he works hard every day to make the state of Illinois a better place for his daughters. Just like the great Republican Abraham Lincoln, who defended freedom on this very floor, John knows it takes a team to save our liberties. He will help us all work together more productively and to achieve our common goals. At the end of the day, John is a good man. He's a great legislator who has proven that he can and will work hard for a win. And the people of Illinois deserve a lot more wins. And with that, as Lincoln said, having thus chosen our course without guile and with pure purpose, let us renew our trust in God and go forward without fear and with manly hearts. Thank you.
Senator Anderson seconds the nomination of Senator John Curran for President of the Senate. Senator Rezin is recognized for the purpose of seconding the nomination. Senator Rezin.
Thank you, Governor. I rise to nominate my colleague and my friend, Senator John Curran. Like everyone who is 6'7" and under, I look up to Senator Curran. I've had the pleasure of watching Senator Curran come into his own as a legislator and a leader over these past few years. I've gotten to see him grow in his understanding of who he is and what we represent and where we need to go. As a rural/suburban member and a female legislator, I can say from experience he uniquely grasps the challenges and the diverse challenges of our state and our party. While some may complain or even quit, John commits. He has proven over and over again that he is part of the solution and not the problem. His success comes from his own labor, of course, but he'll be the first to tell you that his statesmanship is rooted in working with others. He doesn't just listen to diverse opinions, he values them. He uses a collection of thought to learn from the past and to look for the future. By prioritizing action over ego, he has become one of the most successful members in our chamber at crafting and passing bipartisan legislation. Point blank, he gets things done for his district and for the people of Illinois. But for me, it just isn't Senator Curran, the legislator, that I rise to nominate. I'm nominating John Curran, the advocate and the defender of the Innocent Award recipient who spent 19 years fighting for justice for victims and their families. I'm nominating John Curran, the human resource counselor who fought discrimination to make workplaces better for women and for minorities. I rise to nominate John Curran, the person whose morals and integrity and action make him the best person to represent and lead our caucus. It's an honor today to say where our great Republican leader, Abraham Lincoln, called for justice in delivering his famous House Divided speech. I'm proud to serve in this former General Assembly chamber on behalf of the people of Illinois. It's a new year, a new General Assembly, and a new chance to make a difference starts with John Curran. I look forward to working together for a brighter future in this great state that we call Illinois. Thank you.
Senator Rezin seconds the nomination of Senator John Curran for President of the Senate. If there are no further nominations, Senator Villivalam is recognized for the purpose of making a motion.
Governor and members of the Senate, I move that nominations for the office of President of the Illinois State Senate for the 103rd General Assembly be closed.
Senator Villivalam has moved that nominations be closed. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Aye. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The motion carries and the nominations are closed. The secretary will call the roll of the senators. Each senator should answer the roll by stating one of the names nominated or by voting present. Please call the roll, Secretary Anderson.
Anderson. Anderson votes Curran. Aquino. Aquino votes Harmon. Belt. Belt votes Harmon. Bennett, Tom. Bennett votes Curran. Bryant. Bryant votes Curran. Castro. Castro votes Harmon. Cervantes. Cervantes votes Harmon. Chesney. Chesney votes Curran. Cunningham. Cunningham votes Harmon. Curran. Curran votes Harmon. DeWitt. DeWitt votes Curran. Edley Allen. Edley Allen votes Harmon. Ellman. Ellman votes Harmon. Faraci. Faraci votes Harmon. Feigenholtz. Feigenholtz votes Harmon. Fine. Fine votes Harmon. Fowler. Fowler votes Curran. Gillespie. Gillespie votes Harmon. Glowiak Hilton. Glowiak Hilton votes Harmon. Halpin. Halpin votes Harmon. Harmon. Harmon votes Curran. Harris N. Harris votes Harmon. Harris E. Harris votes Curran. Hastings. Hastings votes Harmon. Holmes. Holmes votes Harmon. Hunter. Hunter votes Harmon. Johnson. Johnson votes Harmon. Jones. Jones votes Harmon. Joyce. Joyce votes Harmon. Kaler. Kaler votes Harmon. Lewis. Lewis votes Curran. Lightford. Lightford votes Harmon. Loughran Capel. Loughran Capel votes Harmon. Martwick. Martwick votes Harmon. McClure. McClure votes Curran. McConkey. McConkey votes Curran. Morrison. Morrison votes Harmon. Murphy. Murphy votes Harmon. Passione-Zayas. Passione-Zayas votes Harmon. Peters. Peters votes Harmon. Plummer. Plummer votes Curran. Preston. Preston votes Harmon. Resin. Resin votes Curran. Rose. Rose votes Curran. Simmons. Simmons votes Harmon. Sims. Sims votes Harmon. Stottleman. Stottleman votes Harmon. Stoller. Stoller votes Curran. Severson. Severson votes Curran. Tracy. Tracy votes Curran. Doris Turner. Doris Turner votes Harmon. Sally Turner. Sally Turner votes Curran. Van Pelt. Van Pelt votes Harmon. Ventura. Ventura votes Harmon. Villa. Villa votes Harmon. Villanueva. Villanueva votes Harmon. Billy Vollum. Billy Vollum votes Harmon. Wilcox. Wilcox votes Curran.
The results of the roll call are as follows. Senator Don Harmon, 39 votes. Senator John Curran, 19 votes. Senator Don Harmon, having received the constitutionally required number of votes, is hereby declared elected President of the Senate of the 103rd General Assembly. Will Senator Don Harmon and Justice Cunningham please come to the rostrum? Shake his hand.
Good afternoon again. Senator Don Harmon, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Don Harmon,
I, Don Harmon,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of President of the Senate
of the office of President of the Senate
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Mr.
Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for presiding over the opening ceremonies. One of these years, maybe, just maybe, we'll have a normal Senate ceremony in our normal Senate chamber, but probably not anytime soon. The Senate seems to be pretty good at finding new and different ways to be different. I am honored and humbled to receive the support of my colleagues to serve in this post. Thank you. My commitment to you is that I will strive each day to do my best to live up to the responsibilities and the trust you have placed in me. I'm also a bit surprised by the reality that as of today, with a whopping tenure of not quite 3 years, I am now the longest serving legislative leader in the General Assembly. Make of that what you will. On the flip side, I would like to congratulate the newest member of the Four Tops, Republican leader John Curran. Leader Curran, I look forward to the opportunity to work with you. I want to thank Senator Villanueva and Senator Turner for your very kind remarks, and I especially want to thank my seatmate and legislative neighbor back home, Senate Majority Leader Kimberly Lightford. I'm incredibly grateful for the support, and I look forward to working with you for another great and productive session ahead. I do want to thank my pastor, Father Carl Morello, who has been a super pastor to the Harmon family these last couple of weeks. We'll give you a few days off after the swearing in. And to Rabbi Shoshana Conover for the benediction to follow. Thank you. We are honored to have in our presence today a veritable who's who of Illinois government. A two-term governor deserves a second welcome. Governor Pritzker, thank you for being here. Is the Honorable Juliana Stratton, our Lieutenant Governor, here? I'm getting the updates as who's here and who's not. Is our former Secretary of State, Jesse White, here? He must be locked out in the hallway. All right. The Honorable Kwame Raoul, our Attorney General and a former state senator. The Honorable Michael W. Frericks, our State Treasurer and a former senator. The Honorable Lisa Holder White, Supreme Court Justice, is here with us. And to our friend, the Honorable Joy Cunningham, Supreme Court Justice, thank you again for being here. We also have Cook County Judge John Mulrow, a friend and former senator. And the Honorable James O. Langfelder, the mayor of the city of Springfield. Thank you for being with us here today. I have my Harmon support group here, my wife Terry and our children Don, Francis, and Maggie. They are the foundation of every good decision that I make, and if I make any bad decisions, I clearly did not seek their counsel. Okay, so here we are. The ongoing Capitol construction project dispatched us to this historic chamber for today's ceremony. I want to thank Justin Blanford and the Historic Sites team here at the Department of Natural Resources for their work shoehorning us in and helping us make this event happen. The building and its history are a treasure for our state, and I hope everyone comes back in due time to explore that legacy. I also want to go off script and thank our tremendous staff for somehow fitting us into this space. I am so glad we are doing this once. We have in our midst today 16 senators taking the inaugural oath of office for the very first time, so welcome aboard. Our roll call shows 59 members, but I would like to acknowledge the 60th senator who is not here. We lost a friend last month with the passing of Senator Scott Bennett. May his life serve as a reminder to value and enjoy the time that we have. He was a model for public service, and we miss him all dearly. I'd ask you to join me in a moment of silence in his honor. Of all the places we could have picked for today's ceremony, it is fitting that we are here in this building and in this chamber. This is a place of fresh starts and new beginnings. Not so long ago, our former colleague Barack Obama launched his campaign for the presidency from the steps just outside. Lesser known, but arguably just as important, this very chamber hosts naturalization ceremonies in which people from across the globe complete their journey to become U.S. citizens. And on February 1st in 1865, the House in this chamber rushed to make Illinois the first state in the nation to ratify the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery, approving the measure by large majorities, and just as impressively wrapping up those historic votes by 4:30 that afternoon. Lawmakers then quickly moved to repeal the state's infamous black laws. Whether it's true or not, I desperately want to believe they stayed well past midnight to get that done. And arguably, most famously, it is here in 1858, I believe in the spot in which I am standing, that Abraham Lincoln drew biblical inspiration to challenge the morality of slavery in delivering his House Divided speech upon receiving the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate. A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I have to tell you that as a bit of a history geek and a graduate of Galesburg's Knox College, the self-professed hub of Lincoln scholarship, it is the thrill of a lifetime to stand at this podium and speak the words of Abraham Lincoln. We look back in admiration at Lincoln's eloquence, his forthright stamina in defending what is right. But truth be told, back in the day it was delivered, the speech bombed. His friends and advisors warned him it was too far radical for the times. That probably sounds familiar to a few of you on both sides of the aisle. Lincoln would lose that Senate race to Stephen Douglas. Some would blame the tone of the speech for his loss. So why give it? Because Lincoln believed there was an important message that people needed to hear. The debate had gone on for far too long. It was time to pick a side. Yes, Lincoln lost that Senate race, but just 2 years later, the same message would propel him to the White House, where he would go on to become one of the greatest presidents in American history. It is humbling to be in this chamber and contemplate the magnitude of Lincoln's words. It is my hope that we all think deeply about why it is that we find ourselves here and what we wish to accomplish for the people of Illinois in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead. The Senate that I know is one filled with good and decent people, elected to do the right thing for their communities. If you've ever asked me for my counsel on something, my answer often begins, well, my mother always said. I've been thinking a lot lately about something my mom told me when I was first elected. She said, I don't worry you won't do the right thing when you go to Springfield. I worry that Springfield will change your notion of what the right thing is. My mom passed away on New Year's Day. She was and always will be my hero. Her words and the challenge they instill stuck with me. I will forever do my best to live up to her expectations. I offer a similar challenge to all of you. Each one of us serves roughly 250,000 people back home. 250,000 people, working families and working folks. What is best for them? What is best for the millions of working families across our state? What is best for the nearly 13 million people who collectively call Illinois home? Be guided by that truth, whether it's politically convenient or not. If your motivations are elsewhere, the Illinois Senate is not for you. I was at a Supreme Court installation not too long ago for Justice Rochford, and her father, James Rochford, was quoted. He was the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department in 1976. That year, he welcomed a new class of patrol officers with a stern warning that seems appropriate to revisit today. If you lack integrity, get out. Get out now, because you will be found out. To be sorry is too late. If you remember the esteem in which you are held by your family and friends, many of whom are in this hall, you will save them the eventual shame and heartbreak. We've all unfortunately witnessed the sweeping tarnish that comes when even one elected official strays. If you aren't here to do what's right for the people of Illinois, I would suggest you take Mr. Rochford's advice. The people of Illinois deserve better, and it's up to us to deliver. I will close with Lincoln's own concluding remarks from the House Divided speech, and look forward to working with all of you to improve the lives of all of the people who call the great state of Illinois their homes. Wise counsels may accelerate or mistakes delay it, but sooner or later the victory is sure to come. Thank you. The next order of business is the election of the minority leader of the Senate, Senator Severson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask for unanimous consent on behalf of the Republican members of the Senate to declare Senator John Curran the minority leader of the Illinois Senate of the 103rd General Assembly.
Senator Severson requests a unanimous consent on behalf of the Republican members of the Senate to declare Senator John Curran the minority leader of the Senate for the 103rd General Assembly. Is leave granted? Leave is granted. Senator John Curran is declared minority leader. Congratulations. The chair recognizes Minority Leader John Curran.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Governor Pritzker. And thank you to everyone for joining us here today in celebration of our democracy. 6 years ago, I was a lawyer and enthusiastic about public policy. I was then appointed to fill the seat of my friend and the first female leader in the history of Illinois, Christine Radogno. I never imagined that my journey would lead me here to this historic place, at this revered house, where so many memorable speeches were given. I assure you this will not be one of those speeches. It is moving and a bit surreal to be honored with the confidence of my colleagues to lead us on a new path. Thank you. This is one of the countless experiences that I would never been possible without the support of my partner in life and love, my wife, Sue. She and so many of the other spouses in this great hall today do the real hard work behind the scenes so we can serve our districts and our constituents here in Springfield. I'm so proud of her and our 4 daughters, Sarah, Lauren, Jennifer, and Rachel. Their talents and potential far outpaced my own. I ran for office because young Illinoisans like them deserve a future with great opportunity for all. I'm also thinking of my parents, Tom and Margaret, who were born in Ireland and met here in the great state of Illinois. It is their hard work, perseverance, and hope that paved my own road to the American dream. Like many children around the world and right here in Illinois, my father was forced to drop out of school too young to support his family. At 13, he was sent from their small country farm to live in Galway City, to work at a store during the week and work on a nearby farm on the weekend. Instead of going to school, he was working to send money back home to help pay for his sister's tuberculosis treatment. At the age of 18, he pioneered to America alone, with no family, too little money, and the hope of a better life. He worked as a carpenter and married my mother, who had been weaving her own story of immigration from Ireland. While my father worked on becoming a home builder, my mother was building our own home, raising 7 children. They didn't just support our family here in Illinois, but went on to sponsor 3 of my father's brothers for U.S. immigration and help them get established here in the great state of Illinois. I wish my parents and my sister Marie were watching from these special seats instead of heaven, but I feel their Irish spirit of love and light here today. I would like to thank the people of the 41st Senate District who honor me with the opportunity to represent them in the Illinois Senate. They remind me of the nobility of public service, and their votes for and against me continue to make me a better advocate for our community and for our democracy. Finally, thank you, Senate President Don Harmon, for your dedication to the state of Illinois. I look forward to working with you in the year ahead. Our democracy was designed to allow us to make a difference, even through our differences. In this spirit, Illinois is better served when our public policies are crafted from two, not one, participating parties. As legislators, I believe we can best respect and represent our principles by sharing them with the other side and taking the time to listen and learn why they are important to the constituencies we represent. Regardless of the letter next to our name, we are all here to do one thing: create a better Illinois. That means that all legislators, not just the majority, are here to represent our constituents through creating strong, practical public policy. There are millions of Illinoisans who support the Republican principles of freedom and economic opportunity for all. It is my job as leader to ensure that their votes and their voices are represented. Our caucus takes our role in that process very seriously. There's a lot of talk about division in our politics in our state. While it may seem new, Illinois has overcome many challenges of division before. What matters right now are solutions. Illinois families and businesses are facing great challenges: inflation, unemployment, overtaxation, and child care challenges that are affecting our job creators and our job seekers. Communities continue to suffer from the great emotional and economic toll of pandemic-related crisis. If you are an Illinoisan, whether you're from a farm or a flat, you have the right to be represented fairly and freely in our state government. That means as legislators, we must come together and lead by example to create a government that is just as effective for our Southern Illinois working mothers as it is for our Northern Illinois laborers. Our agenda is focused on helping Illinois families and job creators rebuild and renew opportunity in Illinois. We need real, substantive, and sound economic policies that are going to help improve the lives of the people in our state. We will be thoughtful and genuine in our attempts to find opportunities to collaborate on behalf of the families and employers of Illinois. We will also continue to be steadfast in our voiceful opposition to misplaced policies that will hold our citizens and job creators back. It is important that legislators listen to and respect each other's principles to better understand the needs of the districts outside of our own. I know through experience that with collaboration we can make real, true improvements to help reestablish Illinois as one of the greatest places to live, work, and raise a family. Unfortunately, progress is not always easy or quick. A true bipartisan government will not be created overnight. As the Irish say, the longest road out is the shortest road home. It has been a long, difficult road for our party, our state, and our world. But the only way to move forward is to move on. Today, January 11, 2023, the Illinois Senate Republicans are proudly facing the future. Our caucus of innovative and dedicated public servants are moving forward for all Illinoisans together. One idea, one meeting, one policy at a time. Like so many of my fellow legislators, I am also inspired by one of the world's wisest Republicans, President Abraham Lincoln. I will leave you with his words, which are better than my own. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the great state of Illinois.
The benediction will be offered by Rabbi Shoshana Conover from Temple Shalom. Rabbi?
So as we conclude today, I just first want to start by thanking you, Senator Harmon, not only for inviting this extraordinary leader and myself to lead us in prayers today, but also the way in which you, in a time of loss, are still rising to leadership in such a profound way. I can only imagine how difficult this is. And I pray that you continue to share your mother's memory and her wisdom with all of us, so that that way we can continue to benefit from the way in which she raised you with such wisdom, and she continues to bless our world through you and your family. So I'm going to start off this way of concluding today with a little Hebrew lesson, and I'm not sure how that's going to work with our interpretation. We'll do this together. So the word is hineni. Could you try that? Hineni. So hineni is a way in which to respond to a great call. It's a way in which saying, not only I'm here, but I'm truly present. I'm ready to serve. I'm here for a greater purpose than myself, and I'm here to embrace it. This was Moses' response when God called on Moses from the burning bush. God called out, "Moses, Moses." And Moses responded, "Hineni, here I am." Just as you were sworn in today, the Jewish people are starting a new book in the Torah and the Hebrew Bible, the book of Exodus. And we remember the way in which the people left Egypt and said, "We deserve freedom, and we are going to come together and figure this out." But in order to do so, we need to have great leaders. Leaders who, when God would call on them, when others would depend on them, they would be ready to say hineni. And so Moses actually, after he said hineni, wanted to retract when he saw what difficult work lay ahead. And he actually asked God, "Please choose someone else." And God said, "No, I have my eye on you. You are destined for great things. Because, Moses, this is not about you. This is about something bigger than you. Through your work, Moses, we will be able to have a model for freedom, a model for bringing together people in times of strife. We will understand what it means to build a nascent democracy and then have others behold it more fully." That is our work. This is the work you will do in this chamber. Thank God. And Moses knew that he couldn't do it alone. He said to God, "Well, if you will not choose someone else, will you at least let me lead with others?" And God said yes. So Moses brought his brother, who became known in our people as a great peacemaker. Hearing what others had to say and understanding, like Moses, it wasn't about him. It was about something much greater. Peace was his goal. And that wasn't enough. Moses needed other leaders also, and so he also brought his sister Miriam to be a great leader among the people. And what was she? She was a great caretaker. She made sure that when people were thirsty, when they were crying out, that she would see to their needs. She never forgot that everything that they were doing as leaders was about the people they served, was about a greater purpose. So I pray with all of you today that you'll understand what it means to say hineni. Could you say it again? Hineni. Like Moses, when called on to serve a higher purpose for freedom, equity, compassionate justice, I will respond, hineni. Like Miriam, when in crisis my people call on me to work for their health, their safety, their family's welfare, I will respond, hineni. Like Aaron, I will make sure to have peace as my goal. And to do this, I know I will make mistakes, and I'll learn from my colleagues and my constituents how to create a better society for all, because today in this chamber, I vow whenever called on, I will respond. Amen. May this be your will and God's will. Amen.
The following senators are appointed to the Committee of Escort for the Governor. Senators Belt, Pacione Zayas, Fine, DeWitt, and Fowler. Will those senators please come forward to escort the Governor from the chamber? Will the senators appointed to the Committee of Escort for the members of the Judiciary, Senators Peters, Gillespie, Halpin, Sally Turner, and McClure, please come forward to escort the distinguished members of the Judiciary from the chamber? Let's get you a drink. It is the intention of the Chair to begin organizing the Senate of the 103rd General Assembly. Members and guests will please remain in the chamber as we have just a bit of further business to conduct. Mr. Secretary, communications.
A letter dated January 11th, 2023, Dear Secretary Anderson, pursuant to Rule 3-5C of the 102nd General Assembly, I hereby appoint Senator Kimberly A. Lightford as chairperson for the Senate Committee on Assignments. In addition, I hereby appoint Senator Bill Cunningham, vice chair, Senator Laura Murphy, and Senator Omar Aquino as members of the Senate Committee on Assignments. If you have any questions regarding these appointments, please contact my Chief of Staff, Jake Butcher, at your convenience. Sincerely, Don Harmon, Senate President. I have another letter dated January 11th, 2023. Dear Mr. Secretary, pursuant to the temporary Senate rules of the 103rd General Assembly, I hereby appoint Senator Neil Anderson to serve as minority spokesperson of the Senate Committee on Assignments and Senator Sally Turner to serve as the member of the committee. These appointments are effective immediately. Sincerely, John Curran, Illinois Senate Republican leader.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Resolutions.
Senate Resolution 1, offered by Senator Doris Turner. Senate Resolution 2, offered by Senator Cunningham. And Senate Resolution 3, offered by Senator Hunter.
If the Committee on Assignments can find a few square feet of spare space in the back of the chamber, Ms. Tandon is waving to you over there, please convene. Members and guests, please remain in the chamber as we have just a little bit more business to conduct. The Senate will stand at ease. Yes, I know.